Imagine stepping into a time machine, spinning the globe backward 5 million years. The world is both familiar and alien. Towering forests brush against open savannas, and the air vibrates with the calls of creatures long extinct. The Pliocene Earth is a stage of contrasts. Vast grasslands ripple under the wind, while dense woodlands hide shadows where predators lurk. Volcanoes occasionally billow smoke into the sky, and rivers, swollen with melting glaciers, carve intricate paths through the land. This is a world where survival is a daily contest, and the menu is dictated by what the planet chooses to offer. Now, picture our ancestors moving cautiously through this mosaic of life. They are small compared to the towering mammoths that graze nearby, yet alert, curious, and endlessly adaptive. The question arises, what ended up on their plates in such a complex environment? Were they nibbling on tender shoots, plucking fruits from thorny bushes, or learning the art of cracking nuts? With primitive stones? Every bite tells a story of evolution, ingenuity, and the delicate balance between hunger and risk. The climate itself is a character in this drama. Cooler oceans stir storms. Alternating wet and dry seasons shape the landscape, and occasional droughts force hominids to explore further than ever before. This ever-shifting backdrop determines not only what is edible, but how our ancestors move, hunt, and forage. Some species thrive in the open plains, others cling to the safety of forests. And within this diversity, the earliest hominids must discern what sustains life and what leads to peril. These creatures are more than passive observers. They are learners and adapters. Their hands, evolving for precision and grip, enable the manipulation of objects, from simple stones to future tools. Their diets are varied, from succulent fruits and tender leaves to tubers hidden underground. Each choice a lesson in resilience. As we peer into their world, the textures, smells, and colors emerge vividly, almost palpable. Can you feel the tension in the air as a shadow passes through the brush, or the delight of discovering a tree heavy with fruit after days of searching? This is the first step in understanding the intimate connection between environment and sustenance. And as you wonder what exactly filled their plates, consider this. Every meal, every morsel, carries the whisper of adaptation, a story written over millions of years. If this glimpse into 5-million-year-old Earth sparks your curiosity, hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think our ancestors considered a delicacy? The journey has just begun, and the next chapter will take us deeper into the lives of these remarkable early hominids. 5 million years ago, the landscape of life was dominated not only by sprawling savannas and dense forests, but also by a caste of early hominids whose footsteps would echo through time. Among them, Australopithecines stands out, a genus that bridges the gap between tree-dwelling primates and the bipedal humans to come. These ancestors were small in stature, their bodies lithe and agile, yet every bone and sinew told a story of adaptation and survival. Australopithecines moved with a curious duality. They could climb trees with grace, escaping predators and harvesting fruit. Yet on the ground they walked upright, hands free to gather, carry, and manipulate. Their skulls, though smaller than ours, housed brains capable of problem-solving and social cooperation. Life for them was a constant negotiation with the environment, recognizing edible plants, avoiding predators, and navigating the shifting terrains of rivers, woodlands, and open plains. Other species, such as Kenyanthropus and early Paranthropus, added complexity to this ancestral web. Paranthropus, with its massive jaw and robust teeth, specialized in hard nuts and fibrous plants, revealing a dietary diversity that hints at the evolutionary experiments of the era. Each species had its niche, yet all shared a crucial trait: adaptability. Their survival depended not merely on strength, but on observation, memory, and the ability to learn from each day's trials. Social structures also began to emerge. Small groups offered protection and facilitated the sharing of knowledge, from recognizing dangerous terrain to discovering new food sources. Communication, perhaps in the form of gestures or calls, was essential. Cooperation meant survival. The landscape was unforgiving, and only those who could read it, interpret it, and act in concert with their peers thrived. Fossil evidence, footprints, and dental wear paint vivid pictures of these ancestors' lives. They were neither primitive nor simple. They were survivors in an age where the earth tested every creature to its limit. Observing them, one can almost hear the whispers of curiosity as they probe their surroundings, testing fruits for taste and texture, deciding which plants to gather, which roots to dig. These hominids were pioneers, shaping the very foundations of what it meant to be human. Each step they took across the Pliocene plains carried lessons etched into our DNA. And as we imagine their world, we begin to appreciate how their bodies, minds, and diets laid the groundwork for evolution's grand experiment: us. Step into the Pliocene world, and the sheer diversity of life is staggering. Towering trees with broad canopies dominate the landscape, providing shade, food, and shelter for countless creatures. Grasses ripple across vast savannas, hosting herds of grazers that have yet to evolve into the majestic species we recognize today. Flowers bloom in hidden clearings, their colors signaling nourishment to pollinators and hominids alike. Every plant, every leaf is both a resource and a puzzle, offering sustenance yet demanding knowledge and caution. The fauna of this era adds another layer of wonder and danger. Herds of early elephants, the ancestors of mammoths, roam the plains, their presence shaping the very land they walk on. Predators, from saber-toothed cats to hyenas, patrol their territories, their every movement a lesson in vigilance for smaller creatures. Birds fill the skies in flocks, signaling the changing seasons, while small mammals dart through undergrowth, constantly alert to looming threats. Each animal, from the tiniest insect to the largest herbivore, plays a role in the complex web of life that our ancestors must navigate. For early hominids, understanding this environment was crucial, recognizing which plants were edible, which animals could be hunted or avoided, and where safe water sources lay were daily survival challenges. The landscape was not static. It changed with the seasons and with the gradual shifts of climate over millennia. Trees that once offered abundant fruit could suddenly yield nothing, forcing hominids to explore new territories or adapt their diets. Observing. The behavior of animals became a tool, a way to predict danger or opportunity. Interestingly, this era shows evidence of early ecological engineering. Large herbivores trample vegetation, creating new grazing zones. Rivers carve valleys, depositing nutrient-rich soil. Forest clearings emerge, sometimes naturally, sometimes through fire, opening spaces where early humans could gather food. The environment was a dynamic classroom, teaching adaptability, resilience, and foresight. It's within this intricate, interconnected web that our ancestors' diets and survival strategies were formed. The flora and fauna were more than mere backdrops. They were teachers, providing lessons in nutrition, risk, and the rhythm of life itself. As we visualize this vibrant ecosystem, we begin to understand that survival was not just about strength, but about observation, strategy, and an intimate connection with every living thing around them. Imagine crouching in a sun-drenched clearing 5 million years ago, the air filled with the scents of ripe fruit, fresh leaves, and the subtle musk of nearby animals. For our ancestors, every day was a culinary adventure shaped by survival. Their plates, though not made of ceramic or silver, were filled with a variety of foods gathered directly from their environment. Fruits, nuts, tender shoots, and underground tubers formed the backbone of their diet, each bite a delicate balance between nourishment and danger. Fruits were highly prized, often signaling energy-rich rewards. Our ancestors would climb cautiously into trees, their nimble fingers plucking soft, sweet morsels while remaining alert to predators below. Nuts and seeds offered concentrated calories but demanded ingenuity. Cracking hard shells with rudimentary tools was an early testament to problem-solving skills. Tubers and roots hidden beneath the soil required patience, strength, and knowledge of the terrain. Selecting the right roots meant the difference between sustenance and sickness. Yet the diet was not purely vegetarian. Evidence from teeth wear patterns and isotopic analyses hints at opportunistic consumption of insects, small animals, and scavenged meat. Occasionally, a carcass left by a predator would provide a feast, but taking such risks required social cooperation and careful planning. These dietary choices were not random. They were strategic adaptations to the challenges of a changing world. Interestingly, food acquisition was a social affair. Sharing, discoveries, teaching younger members which fruits were safe, and cooperating to access difficult resources were fundamental for survival. Early humans were not solitary foragers. Their diets reflected a web of relationships, both within their groups and with the ecosystem around them. Each meal carried lessons of observation, experimentation, and resilience. What stands out is the sophistication behind these seemingly simple meals. Our ancestors were keen observers of seasonality, recognizing which plants were in abundance and when certain animals could be relied upon. They read the landscape, deciphering the rhythms of nature to ensure they never went hungry. Think about it. What would you consider the delicacies of a world 5 million years ago? Could you identify the edible roots or the fruits safest to eat? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Imagine walking in their footsteps, tasting the flavors of a planet untouched by modern agriculture, where every meal is a triumph of ingenuity and survival. Picture the Pliocene plains stretching endlessly under a pale sun, where every shadow could conceal danger or opportunity. Our ancestors navigated this world with a mix of instinct, observation, and innovation. Foraging was not merely wandering, it was a disciplined exploration of their environment. Each plant, root, or fruit was assessed for ripeness, edibility, and safety. Hands and eyes became tools of precision, and over time patterns emerged, knowledge passed. From one generation to the next, hunting, when undertaken, demanded strategy and cooperation. Early hominids were not apex predators, yet they learned to exploit the weaknesses of other species. Scavenging from carcasses left behind by lions or hyenas provided vital protein. Tracking animal movements, studying footprints, and anticipating behaviors were skills honed over countless days and nights. Even small game offered critical sustenance, and ambush tactics or simple traps began to emerge, laying the groundwork for future ingenuity. But survival was about more than acquiring food. Water sources dictated movement, and the knowledge of seasonal patterns became essential. Dry periods could turn once fertile regions into deserts, forcing migration or adaptation. The ability to store knowledge mentally, remembering the locations of fruiting trees, honeycombs, or hidden tubers, was as vital as physical strength. Life depended on memory, observation, and the capacity to plan ahead, qualities that shaped cognitive evolution. Tools, though rudimentary, revolutionized the way our ancestors interacted with their world. Stones cracked nuts, sticks extracted insects, and sharpened implements enabled more efficient access to meat or tough vegetation. These innovations reflect an early intelligence deeply intertwined with survival. Every meal was a negotiation with nature, every successful hunt or foraging trip a testament to adaptability. The environment, with all its Unpredictability was a relentless teacher. Observing animal behaviors, noticing subtle changes in vegetation, and testing potential food sources provided lessons in patience and risk assessment. In this world, creativity was survival, and each action shaped not only the body, but the mind of our ancestors. Through the lens of hunting and foraging, we see a portrait of resilience, ingenuity, and interconnection. A portrait of life forged at the intersection of challenge and opportunity. Our ancestors' survival skills were not accidental. They were learned, practiced, and perfected, leaving behind echoes that resonate in our own instincts and strategies today. Step into the rhythm of the Pliocene world, where the seasons dictate the very pulse of life. Rainfall comes and goes in waves, transforming lush forests into parched plains and back again. Rivers swell with melted snow from distant mountains, only to recede into shallow channels during dry spells. Our ancestors moved within. This dance, attuned to the subtle cues of nature, for survival demanded a keen understanding of temporal shifts. Food scarcity was an inevitable challenge. During wet seasons, fruits and tender leaves flourished, insects teemed, and herbivores multiplied. Yet, as dry months approached, resources dwindled, forcing hominids to innovate. Tubers and underground roots became essential lifelines, while previously ignored plants were tested for nutrition and safety. Knowledge of these seasonal cycles became a cornerstone of survival, a living calendar etched into memory and oral tradition. The variability of resources shaped behavior and mobility. Groups followed the landscape's natural pulse, migrating from riverbanks to forested highlands, guided by the availability of sustenance. Competition for food increased in lean periods, emphasizing the importance of social bonds, cooperation, and strategic planning. Shared knowledge about hidden caches or fertile foraging areas could mean the difference between life and death. Animals, too, adapted to these cycles, and observing them provided critical insights. Tracks, droppings, and feeding patterns became indicators of where edible plants or prey could be found. Hominids learned to read the signs of other species, turning observation into survival strategy. The changing climate was not merely a backdrop, it was a persistent instructor, demanding flexibility, awareness, and foresight. These pressures forged resilience. Early humans developed ingenuity, storing excess food when possible, experimenting with new dietary sources, and strengthening communal ties. The cycle of abundance and scarcity cultivated problem-solving abilities, risk assessment, and long-term planning. Each season was a test, and each adaptation became a lesson passed down to the next generation. In essence, the Pliocene seasonal rhythm was both a challenge and a teacher. It sculpted early human behavior, diet, and cognition, leaving an enduring imprint on the ways we navigate the natural world today. Our ancestors' survival hinged on their capacity to read the land, anticipate scarcity, and adapt with intelligence and resourcefulness, a timeless lesson in resilience and foresight. In the Pliocene world, survival wasn't only about finding food, it was about defending it. As our ancestors foraged and hunted, they faced a constant parade of competitors. Large carnivores prowled the savannas and forests, their keen senses making stealth a necessity. Saber-toothed cats, hyenas, and giant birds of prey were not just predators. They were rivals for the same resources. Every edible root or fallen fruit carried risk, and every movement required vigilance. Early hominids learned to read the signs of danger. Rustling leaves, broken branches, or distant growls were warnings that demanded immediate attention. But they were not passive. Through observation, cooperation, and ingenuity, they devised ways to protect both themselves and their food. Groups shared information, warning one another of nearby threats, and even employed primitive strategies to distract or avoid predators. The line between hunting and being hunted was thin, and survival depended on understanding both sides of the equation. Rivalries extended beyond the predator-prey dynamic. Other hominid groups competed for access to the same trees, waterholes, or grazing grounds. Territorial disputes could be tense, pushing early humans to negotiate, avoid, or assert, themselves depending on the stakes. This pressure fostered social intelligence and strategic thinking, laying the groundwork for complex human behavior in future millennia. Interestingly, these interactions shaped not only diet but innovation. Tools, for instance, were often used defensively as much as they were for gathering or processing food. Stones became improvised weapons, sticks served as barriers, and coordinated group actions allowed our ancestors to assert control over their environment. In essence, threats inspired creativity, forcing our ancestors to evolve both physically and cognitively. The world of 5 million years ago was unforgiving, yet our ancestors thrived through vigilance, cooperation, and adaptability. Every foraging trip carried lessons in risk assessment and strategic planning, reinforcing the idea that survival is as much about intellect and social cohesion as it is about physical strength. Which predator or rival do you find most fascinating in this ancient drama? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Imagine navigating this world where every meal is a test of skill, courage, and foresight. A world where survival is an art form, and our ancestors were the first master artists. The Pliocene era, with its untamed landscapes and abundant yet unpredictable resources, offers more than just a glimpse into early human survival. It provides lessons in nutrition that echo into our modern lives. By studying fossilized teeth, isotopic signatures, and wear patterns, scientists can reconstruct the diets of our ancestors with astonishing clarity. These remnants reveal a diet not dominated by any single food, but remarkably diverse, carefully balanced, and intimately connected to the seasons and environment. Fruits and leaves provided essential vitamins and fiber, while seeds and nuts delivered concentrated energy in the form of fats and proteins. Tubers and roots were often high in carbohydrates, a reliable energy source during lean periods. Occasionally, small animals and insects supplemented the diet, offering critical proteins and micronutrients. This diversity was not accidental. It was a deliberate adaptation shaped by necessity and opportunity. Every choice reflected survival intelligence and ecological awareness. The nutritional strategies of early hominids also illustrate the importance of flexibility. Unlike modern humans, who often rely on a limited variety of cultivated foods, our ancestors had to constantly adapt to availability. Seasonal cycles, migrations of herbivores, and fluctuations in plant growth dictated not only what was eaten but when and how. Those who could diversify their diet intelligently had a higher chance of survival, demonstrating an early understanding of balance that resonates in contemporary nutrition science. Perhaps most striking is how food shaped physiology and cognition. Access to high-energy foods like nuts and protein-rich insects may have fueled brain development, while the act of processing tough plant matter influenced the evolution of teeth and jaws. Nutrition was not just sustenance, it was a driving force of evolution. In a sense, every bite contributed to shaping the very species that would one day look back at this ancient world. Understanding these lessons transforms our perception of early humans. They were not merely surviving, they were mastering their environment through observation, experimentation, and adaptation. Their diets reveal a sophisticated interplay between ecology, biology, and social behavior, an intricate dance of survival that continues to inform our understanding of health, resilience, and the human story itself. Step back and consider the profound ripple effects of a seemingly simple act: eating. 5 million years ago, the choices our ancestors made at mealtime were far more than a matter of taste. They were pivotal forces shaping the course of evolution. Every bite of fruit, every cracked nut, every scavenged morsel influenced not only survival, but the trajectory of human physiology, behavior, and cognition. The evolution of hands, capable of delicate manipulation, was closely tied to the demands of foraging and processing food. Precision grips allowed early humans to peel fruit, dig for tubers, and break open shells, laying the foundation for tool use and, eventually, culture. Teeth and jaws adapted to varied diets, from fibrous plants to occasional meat, balancing efficiency with durability. Even digestive systems were sculpted by the diverse, fiber-rich, and protein-laden meals of the Pliocene. Socially, diet reinforced cooperation and communication. Sharing food, teaching younger members how to locate or prepare sustenance, and protecting resources from predators or rival groups fostered communal bonds. The table, though primitive and mobile, became a stage for the emergence of social intelligence. Over generations, these small acts of collaboration and problem-solving left indelible marks on the development of early human societies. Brain growth, too, was influenced by nutrition. Energy-dense foods, particularly proteins and fats from nuts, insects, and small animals, provided fuel for cognitive expansion. A richer diet meant better problem-solving, improved planning for scarce seasons, and enhanced learning. What our ancestors ate literally shaped their capacity to innovate, strategize, and survive in a world full of challenges. By examining the dietary choices of early hominids, we see that evolution was not a passive process. It was a dialogue between body, environment, and intellect. Meals were more than sustenance. They were lessons, experiments, and adaptations rolled into one. The humble act of eating tied together ecology, anatomy, and social behavior, influencing the very essence of what it meant to be human. As you reflect on this, imagine the profound legacy carried in each bite of fruit, tuber, or protein source consumed by our ancestors. An intricate thread connecting the diet of the Pliocene to the intelligence, resilience, and adaptability we inherit today. As the Pliocene sun sets over the vast savannas and forests, the world our ancestors inhabited comes alive in imagination, a place of raw beauty and relentless challenges. Every day was a negotiation with nature, and every meal carried lessons in survival, adaptation, and ingenuity. What filled their plates, fruits, nuts, tubers, and occasional protein, was more than mere sustenance. It was a cornerstone of evolution, shaping bodies, minds, and societies for millions of years to come. Our ancestors moved through this world with awareness and intention. They read the land, studied animal behaviors, and learned the rhythms of the seasons. Each foraging trip and every scavenged meal demanded observation, memory, and cooperation. Hands grasped, teeth processed, and brains strategized, every action contributing to survival and, ultimately, the evolutionary path that would lead to modern humans. Their meals were lessons in resourcefulness, creativity, and resilience, echoing in the anatomy and intelligence we inherit today. Reflecting on these ancient diets connects us to a profound truth. The act of eating has always been more than nourishment. It shaped cognition, social structures, and problem-solving. Sharing food strengthened bonds, teaching the values of cooperation, communication, and foresight. The table of 5 million years ago was a place of learning, adaptation, and survival where every decision carried weight and consequence. Now, as we bridge past and present, consider your own relationship with food and curiosity about history. If this glimpse into our ancestors' world has fascinated you, make sure to follow the channel, write your thoughts in the comments, and share your reflections on what ancient diets can teach us today. Engaging with the story allows you to walk alongside our ancestors, imagining the textures, tastes, and strategies that defined their lives. By exploring these ancient meals, we honor their ingenuity and resilience. Every bite we take today carries echoes of their choices, reminding us that survival, adaptation, and curiosity are timeless. Step into their world, share your thoughts, and continue the journey of discovery with us. It is a story still unfolding in every moment of human life.